Nobody can know who we really are. We need to avoid messing with the past as much as possible.
Of course.
What's going on, everyone? I'm Sir James from Gamerfuzion.com, and for this video I'm here to give you my review on Time and Eternity. As for the story in Time and Eternity, it takes place on the day of your wedding. You're about to get married to a beautiful young woman known as Toki, until something terribly happens, and then you travel back in time and of course learning a new secret about your bride, which she happens to contain two souls in one body, so therefore she's both known as Toki and Toa. As you travel along in the game, you're actually building a relationship with both of these characters, and then in the end it will be the one that you actually get to marry. And of course, as you travel back in time to stop the assassination, what happens is that every time you go back in time to change the past to what's going to happen in the present, every time you keep on going back, more and more different things keep on happening. So basically what happens is that you're in this never-ending loop where every time you change the past to fix the future, you're going to get attacked by someone else, so on and so on. And basically it's predestined, so no matter how many times you change the past, something bad is going to happen on your wedding no matter what. So in order to get out of this loop, they have to actually see console and try to find a way out of it, which for spoiler reasons I'm not going to tell you exactly what's going on. So let me go ahead and start with the actual graphics. The overall graphics in this game are actually really nice, from the 2D animation with the combination of the 3D environments. I did notice in some of the actual environments with the 2D character and the actual 3D environments where it just didn't seem to look as good, but when you're in places such as like the forest or even the dark forest or even over in the canyons, and depending on where you are in the actual battle phase, the environments actually did look good. As for the animation of the 2D character using the different magical abilities, and of course during the attack phase of using your actual rifle and knife, overall did look really good. And of course the animation of the characters, of the enemies, and of course the bosses that you face look really good as well, especially with the world map. But the overall graphics looked really nice. It was really appealing, and I know maybe just in some minor sections it looked like it could have, used a little bit more work, but other than that the graphics were actually really nice. Now let me go ahead and talk about the overall gameplay. The overall gameplay is quite simple. In the game you're playing as both Toki and Toa. In the game you're going to be doing a wide variety of main missions and side missions. Every time you complete those missions you gain a variety of experience points, gold, and of course additional points that's going to help towards your skill tree to learn different magical abilities, buffs, or even really strong powerful attacks at the end, depending on what kind of path you want to take your character, because you do have a wide variety of different paths to go on. In the game, you're going to be facing a variety of different monsters, which tend to repeat in the game. So you're only going to have just a small selection of monsters, and of course they tend to repeat by giving them a different color, which my guess is, from what I've learned so far, is to represent their different strengths. As in, if an enemy was red, that means fire damage is not going to be affected by them, and so forth. And of course, too, in the game, like I said, you're able to do basic attacks. You're able to dodge by using the analog sticks to dodge left and right. And of course, you're able to block using the the L1 button. If you time it just right, you perform a counter attack, which will give you a distinct advantage in the actual game. And of course, too, during combat, you're able to use unique items to heal yourself, remove buffs, and so forth. And as you progress further into the game, like I said, you're also granted access to special abilities such as magic attacks, such as thunder, earth, lightning, and other much more abilities depending on where you go in the actual skill tree. And of course, in the actual skill tree, since you're playing both as Toki and Toa, you're not going to have the same skill tree for both characters. You do have the same options, but you're able to choose different paths for both of those characters, so giving you that wide variety to go for. But overall, the actual gameplay is, like I said, it's real simple. You're just going on the actual main quest and side quest if you choose to do side quests. And as you're playing in the game, you're actually building a love interest between both Toki and Toa, which at the end of the game you get to decide which one you truly love and who you're going to marry, which will make it a much more interesting ending. But for spoiler reasons, I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens. All I'm going to say is that it makes for a good replay value to come back and see how the actual ending would have been different if you chose differently. Now let me go ahead and talk about the overall sound. The overall sound in this game is really nice. The voice acting in particular are actually really good. I was really impressed with the actual voice acting in the game. And of course, in the game, in terms of the actual voice, you do have that one perverted character in the game, which brought a lot of sense of humor into it. So I did quite a few times during my playthrough, had a lot of laughs. As for the soundtrack is actually really good as well, providing a really nice relaxing tone when you're in, such bright, beautiful places with the whole 2D character and of course the 3D environments fitting in, just, making the overall scenery feeling a lot better. And of course, it has a really nice dark and creepy music every time you're in like a dark, enchanted forest and so forth. But the overall music actually fit to each tone you're in, whether you're out traveling, every time you're in combat, or facing off in a boss battle. The music was actually really good. It does tend to repeat itself, but it's not to the point where it's going to get annoying. Like I said, just the overall music is really nice and relaxing, fits each tone. Maybe the music in the actual battle phase may get really annoying. I wish it kind of, had different tracks for the actual battle phase. But other than that, the sound is really good. As for the actual lifespan, what kind of lifespan do we see in a game like this? Now, this isn't a typical game that's probably for everyone. If you like RPG style games with a really nice, interesting story, then this is definitely one that you're going to want to pick up. For me, when I started off the game, I wasn't too sure if I was going to enjoy this game, but as the story progressed and I was learning more of the whole time and future things, every time I change the past, it affects the future. But then I realized that I'm stuck in this ultimate loop for every time we're about to get married, something bad is going to happen. You can discover the actual truth was about to happen. So basically, in the game, what I'm trying to say is that you're going to be thinking about this a lot, and like in the game, as you progress in the story, you're trying to piece together the story yourself, trying to think that once you get it solved, the game throws something at you and it completely ruins what you thought was going to be correct. So which I thought it was really, really nice in my opinion, because like I said, every time I pitched together where I thought was going to be the actual, where I solved the case of this whole mystery, the game changes up altogether, and then I'm surprised with much more variety of different enemies. Like I said, this is an RPG game with a variety of stories, so the majority of the time you're going to be spending to level up your characters, because you're going to have quite a few boss battles, especially towards the end of this game. You're going to have some really, really, really tough battles. If you happen to be a low level, just be aware that you're probably going to die in just one hit knockout, depending on the difficulty level and of course where your level of character is. For example, for me, during my playthrough, I was like level 24, and at the end I was facing like this level 46 or 50 boss where she just does one hit on me and I was basically done. But the overall actual lifespan of this game is actually really nice. I did really like the story and the fact that you're able to change in terms of how your character tree builds. So if you want your character to be more of a healer class this time instead of being like a heavy tank, or a character that does, good amount of buffs and debuffs and so forth, you're able to change that around during your different playthroughs. So basically, just experiment with a variety of different options you have to choose from. And of course too, like I said, the ending as well, you do have an option to choose who you want to marry, which gives you about 3 different options. So you do have a nice different ending depending on the outcome. But overall, I thought it was really cool, and I think this has a really great lifespan if you like RPG style games with a really cool and interesting story. As for the innovative, they didn't bring anything new to the table, or it's the stuff that we've already seen before. To be honest, pretty much anything and everything that you're going to see in this game that we've already seen at one point in one game or another. So it's nothing pretty much new that we haven't seen already. Just this game that provides a really nice, interesting story that's going to basically allow you to think a lot, trying to piece together the story yourself. That's pretty much where the strong point of this game is. But overall, I'm going to go ahead and give this game a 9 out of 10. If you guys would like to see the full walkthrough, feel free to check the link down below or head on over to Gamerfuzion.com. Anyways, I'm Sir James from Gamerfuzion, and remember, Gamerfuzion empowers your gaming.